2025. In the boardroom. That's a minute, Weston at 47 Camp Philip Store. All in order. Item 1. Item 2. We don't have any guests today. Anybody on Zoom?
You have a series of individuals on Zoom.
Okay. You have to ask them if they have any question or concern or.
You can ask under public comment if you like.
Sure. Roll call please.
Zagami,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Hubbard,
Here.
Lopes Ferrero,
Here.
Mumper.
Here.
Well, that's an. Item 4, public comment. Item 4 is the public comment. Anybody on Zoom like to make a comment?
Nobody came off mute.
Okay. Item 5. Approval of 3/10/25 Public Work and Utility Committee meeting. Mr. Wishes,
Move to approve. Second.
discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Acknowledge February 2025 water and sewer permits.
I mislabeled the agenda. Attached permits are actually for February, or not February, they're March.
Yeah.
I move to acknowledge the March 2025 water and sewer permits.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Staff report, item 7, CIP update.
So we got a couple of big projects in the queue. About to create a lot of havoc around the village, but Weston Ave between Von Kennel and Ryan Street, WPS and Frontier, or their contractors are in the process of relocating all their utility lines that would be in conflict with the rest of the project this year. By about the end of this month or this week, they should be clear of the Integrity's work zone, where Integrity needs to get started near the Von Kennel and Weston Ave intersection. And then it'll be, I guess, kind of out of the way moving forward then. And then Integrity will be starting sanitary sewer work at Von Kennel starting next week. So there will be a hard closure at Von Kennel and Weston Ave due to the sanitary sewer trench going in. So everyone is still trying to make their way through the construction zone. Next week, it really will be closed, so.
Public work national. Wisconsin Public Service, are there?
I think they are, and there's still there might be one copper line. I have to look back. No, Frontier has the copper line that they're finishing up, so for the most part, they are. I know they had a shutdown last week at X and Weston Ave to do a lot of their cutovers or tie-ins, with their new electrical service, so. You notice the traffic lights at X and Weston Ave were off. I think it was Thursday last week. WPS should, for the most part, be out of there this week.
Which section is ours? So
Yeah, that's ours.
ours.
So that first phase is from Von Kennel to about half-mile west of Ryan Street, going uphill. Once you hit the peak of the hill, that'll be the end of phase 1. And then they'll start back at Ryan Street and work their way back west towards that high point. So they're anticipating about being to that point with a binder pavement around the middle of July. So and they'll start at the Ryan Street intersection and work west. Kind of an early October projected finish right now.
Finish at the October.
Integrity will have 2, if not 3 crews out there most of the summer. They'll have a sanitary sewer crew will just get started and keep going, then they'll have a second pipe crew to do water main and storm sewer, then a grading crew to follow them. Alderson to Birch project, I'm just waiting for the weather to finally turn around and asphalt plants to open up so the multi-use path can get kind of finished up, wrapped up there and restoration. See what's growing, I guess.
Yeah, they still have restoration to do on Summit, on the south side of Summit.
Sure.
So that's,
Similar thing with East Jelnik and Von Kennel. Melvin mentioned coming in this week to see if they can maybe start working on some of the topsoil, getting that restored. As soon as weather allows, they'll be in to get that finished up, as well as American back in to take care of some of the driveways and multi-use path in spots where it needs to be corrected.
Just a quick one. We're still waiting to get a quote on the lighting for that path.
Yeah,
I mean, by the
Van
time we
Nerd
get the
is-
quote, it's gonna be too late to use the lighting this year.
yeah. I know I'm talking with Van Nert. They're here for the Schofield Ave pre-construction meeting. I think they're pretty backed up with work that they already have in the queue, so their desire to quote new stuff isn't as urgent for them at the moment.
I mean, to me, it's like if by the time we get it, there's no point in acting on it, because it'll be, do we need, unless we're gonna light it in January.
Yeah, no, so then we'd be looking at it, we want to do it in 2026. Yeah. The Schofield Ave, Van Nert is putting in temporary signals right now. They should be getting that wrapped up by the end of this week and then start removing the concrete pavement next week. At that point, the travel lanes will be pushed on the south side of the road, or the eastbound lanes, so the westbound lanes will be closed to start.
Can we go back to Jelnik and
Sure.
Montana? I thought we were gonna put the right in, right out sign in there.
Oh, or the X intersection?
Right.
Yeah, I can look at that.
I think we should, because it's increased the safety significantly. It's turning in there at a certain time.
Yeah, I think it was during certain times that we had it
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
restricted.
Okay, thanks.
I know there's also a request to make it so that we sign it so that you can't park between the first driveway and Camp Phillips. So as people are coming off of X and turning on to East Jelnik, the last week or so, there was a car that had been parking almost right as you turn on, and we're looking at getting the no parking back to corner sign put up too there, so that we're ending a parked car as you turn off of X.
And there, I think there is no truck sign.
We have no truck signs yet. So yeah, Schofield Ave, starting next week, they'll be going full force and have a similar timeline, looking at probably about mid-July for the eastbound lanes, the north sides of the median. Then Haas will flip to the south side and work on those lanes for the remainder of the summer. We have a little later projected completion of late October. Right around Halloween is the completion date per the contract. Ross Ave, be working on getting a meeting together with the property owners at Alderson, probably early May here. And Fuller Street, bids were open last week, and Francis Melvin was the apparent low bidder. We have that to discuss later in the packet. should be getting the last arm for the Schofield Ave and Mesker intersection in about the next week or so. Last indication was it was gonna be mid-April, and we're at mid-April here, so. We'll check with TAPCO and see where that's at. And I guess the rest of the list is there. We have a bunch of items still in process and going, so. Been busy last couple of weeks.
You happy with all those better?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Integrity's on the third phase now of Weston Ave. Haas had the Jelnik project last year, as well as the Weston Ave and Summit Alderson section. No, Melvin had the East Jelnik Von Kennel, maybe a couple hiccups there, but for the most part, they're fine. Nothing that would warrant saying they don't deserve it, or.
You covered park and pedestrian, I suppose.
I did not, so I kind of skipped over some of these items. The DOT and HKGI. We had one contract coordination meeting. HKGI's contract amount is at that $60,000 mark, which we had the grant funding for, so. I'm in the DOT's court at the moment to work through the grant agreement there.
Question for Michael?
On East Jelinek between Rodney and Kirk, there was some work going on there for quite a bit last week.
Yeah, there is a drain tile that for the house on Kirk Street, it looks like there was an electrical line that bored through the footing drain for that house. So we're trying to find it so that water was no longer going into the basement.
I drove the other day, I didn't have much time, but as I drove, I don't know exactly where it was. But on the center line, I don't know if anyone drive that, there's a big dip in there.
We're at.
I don't remember what roads it was between, I had to get down, I didn't have time to go back there.
Sure.
But it was just right on center line, I didn't see a manhole or anything there, but.
Okay. Yeah, we still have a walkthrough and some other.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that was.
No.
Anybody else? Item 8, street operation update.
Yes, we have some decent days coming in March, besides doing some plowing, we got some crack sealing done, mainly in the residential areas where it's low traffic. Overlaid roads recently that were, well, 1 to 2 years old. The cracks are wider opening this time of year. When they get hotter, they swell shut, so get more material in the actual crack to seal. Get the good start on work that we can focus on doing now. We also had, we got curb sweeping with our vac truck or sweeper truck. And loader sweeping in roads that are with gravel shoulders. Clearing up the intersections for motorcycles and whatnot.
Question.
Yep.
If we do, Michael, maybe. Do the street sweeping a little bit earlier before all the salt get washed off to the river?
It all depends on the weather because the street.
I know.
I would love to get it out there sooner, to be honest with you, to get, yes, to pick up the more salt content and whatnot. But, the nozzles freeze up on us.
Right.
If it's even around at like 30 to 32, then because it's such a small opening, they freeze faster, so.
Well, keep your eyes on it. If there is an opportunity, I think it's a great help.
Sure.
Because right now, all the salt washed off.
Right.
The first couple of rains we had and snow and got more of, so sand left.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
We also had tree trimming along with the heavy snows that we were getting. throughout the village, a lot of the pine branches were the victims of breaking off, trees falling down. So crews are out in between plow routes and cleaning up storm damage. And then the mechanics bay is preparing for general maintenance for a few items. The first picture there is servicing of all trailers, tires, brakes, safety chains and tie downs. Second picture is a rebuilding of the forks, which is involved of replacing the hydraulic shift cylinders, new hoses, making it not leaking a gallon of fluid every time you go to use it. Third and fourth pictures is the number 113, which is our sidewalk machine and lawn grass cutter. They have to remove the glass, the interior, rebuild some of the metal jams around it, and repaint and reinstall the whole machine. So a lot of the structure around the windows were actually rotting to the point where it wasn't even closing the gap between the seal and the window anymore. So that's all touched up now and ready to go for the summer. That's it.
Anything else? That's
Nope,
it?
that's it.
Question?
We're gonna have to go back and look at the bridge.
Yes, I contacted Norcon to see what they can do, what they suggest and what the application could be in price.
Yeah, that's still an ongoing unresolved.
Correct.
Next month.
By the end of this week, I do believe he'll come back with a price and a solution for it.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay. Item 9, utility operation update.
Yeah, I had a few miscellaneous well stuff, some chemical feed maintenance things. We did have a couple service line leak repairs that we took care of, one on Ross, one on Estate Drive. Estate was just some oversight, kind of along with the leak, water leak stuff. We did have our Astera. That was March, I think. We had our Astera where we had that company that we kind of teamed with WASA with that did some kind of satellite imagery. So they had given us our maps and then they had the boots on the ground guys here a couple weeks ago, I believe, kind of trying to identify. We had put a priority list of where it showed some potential leaks. It wasn't a lot that was found on some of the stuff. So he would set up and do some correlation to try to find some stuff. He couldn't, other than some things maybe up by Douglas. So we have another image that's going to be coming, I think, later this year. So then maybe they'll start kind of honing in on maybe some better spots that might be leaks. So we have some spots we can look into, but it didn't find these two leaks that were repaired. So it was good to have him in here to kind of, some of the ones that we were worried about, it showed a leak over on the newly repaired Alderson and Summit location. And that didn't have anything on there that he found. So it's kind of a little, I guess it's good there weren't leaks, but I guess, it showed there was some leaks, but it turned out not to be. So we'll see what happens the next round when we get another image. And I don't know, do we get another week of boots on the ground with it?
Yeah, so I guess just to kind of clarify, so they take the satellite or I don't know, whatever kind of imagery they get that scans our system, they cross-reference it then against our pipe network. And if there seems to be some anomaly,
Yeah.
it kind of gets highlighted as a point of interest. And then from that point of interest, they have a person who comes and has their leak detection equipment on our hydrants, valves, curb stops, sort of listen in to see if there is a true leak. So I think some of these areas with the newer pavement, maybe with drain tiles and melting snow, something popped up in the image, which we had them go check, because if there was something on Weston Ave or East Jelnik that really was leaking, we'd want to make sure that was taken care of right away. But those came up as nothing. So I guess, which is good. So I think they got through 35 of the 52 points of interest, and there was one where he said he 100% certain there is a leak.
But it's kind of it's in an AC main area where it's hard to, he loses some of his it loses some strength, so we couldn't really pinpoint it, so we gotta probably do some follow-up on it yet, so,
So you see that actually on the image?
Yeah, they highlight
yeah.
a spot.
I think we had it, it's just kind of
Is
a,
wet in that area or what?
It does some kind of
Yeah.
ground penetrating. My understanding is this technology was initially developed to try to find underground like oil reserves.
Yeah,
And as they went through algorithms, they discovered there's a way they can detect, treated water leaking. So,
so I don't know what it picked up, but there was some bright yellow spots on things, and so we had them check some of those, but we didn't find too much at this point, so.
Weston hired them also, didn't they?
Yeah, so that's
and
kind of.
Schofield and
So-
Remountain.
And do we have any idea what their results were?
I haven't heard what Wassa found. I would assume they have,
Yeah, I know
Maybe
Remountain was
not.
kind of in the same boat as us.
yeah, a little bit newer, so.
The newer system, they had some points of interest. I think there they struggled a little more because they all have, it's all PVC pipe water main. So the listening to leaks, hearing that sound difference is harder on the plastic mains than it is on the iron mains that we have.
so is he coming back?
Yeah, so they'll come back after the next scan. And the more times you do it, and it might detect new areas where they're like, oh, this one's showing up now. And as you start overlaying them and 2-3 scans and you get the same spot over and over, then you really do probably have something going on.
I'll be interested seeing it, so
Sure.
let me know.
Yes.
Thanks.
So I guess, we had a couple valve stack repairs that got hit by some, plowing operations. I think we wrapped up all of our meter testing and changeouts, for our large meters for this year, I think. Valve exercising underway, assisting on multiple road projects. I should have added our guys just spent a lot of time marking Schofield Ave and Fuller Street for the upcoming projects. We're still collecting some EPA PFAS. That'll be coming to an end here soon. Sanitary side, just a Harlan block heater repair, Progress Way. It had some odd pump run times. So we had to do some troubleshooting. We found it just seemed that the overland route that they're putting in as part of the Weston Ave project, seems like some water's just been infiltrating. So we had them put a plug in, plug failed. So they're putting a new plug in actually today. Also the Ryan Street generator that was hit by a car in the wintertime got fixed today. They had to replace some of the case around the generator itself.
First
Our,
company pay for it?
I don't know, somebody's insurance.
Yeah, have that filed through the police report.
Yeah,
We haven't got it yet.
No, they were first on site today to make the repairs, so
What was the total repair?
it's like 15,000.
yeah,
We better pay it now.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
New televising van prep, is continuing. It's actually down in Milwaukee area. Our guys kind of built the interior how they liked it, but then they gotta have some of the guys in the know kind of install some of the final, pieces inside the van. We had our new vac truck delivered. That is with JX truck. I believe they're doing some other, installs on that. Should have that back next week. Continue to collect our pH probe data, clean bad spots. Some general, generator maintenance. I guess the next couple of pages are some of the pictures we had. Our guys had to do some change ups for some of the, chemical, lines in the new well 7-8. Next page is the Ross Ave leak repair stuff. And it looks like I put the same picture on the Estate Drive. It looks pretty similar to that one, but shouldn't be the exact same picture.
how much fluoride we had to the?
Water, 0.7,
How much?
0.7
0.7, what
milligrams per liter.
per liter? That's quite a bit.
I think that's what that's the standard.
Current
I
recommended,
understand
Yeah.
that, but still,
it used to be double that.
Yeah.
All right.
You have something else about fluoride? No? Okay.
Move it.
So, and I guess here's, we did a few other ones of these valves. I put one picture in of the valve covers we kind of replaced, kind of build it back up with some of this epoxy stuff. Our SCADA system, we're getting close. There's just these little issues that we've been finding with some of our alarms that haven't been getting called out. We need to look into some other Win 911 systems and whatnot. So there's some background work yet going on with that. Diggers Hotline, like I said, our guys have been, there's been guys out there, at least 2 guys, probably all day long, marking Schofield Ave and Fuller Street for the upcoming work. A lot of work orders going on. I guess some of our contract work, treatment plant work is scheduled to start for well 4, May 5th. Well 7, 8 VFD issues. I guess I don't know how much we need to get into it now, but our VFDs at 7 and 8 got toasted again, March 29th. So it basically had the same faults on it that happened back in, I think the most recent was June, or do we have another one? It was June of last year. There was the same fault. We thought it was a lightning strike. So we're trying to get back and forth with WPS. We had electrical engineers on site. We brought in 2 other different ones. They all have differing opinions on what it would be. So we're trying to get the right people in the right place to tell us why nothing else in that whole plant got damaged other than these very expensive drives. So that's an ongoing issue. WPS reached out today saying they had some anomalies, but it shouldn't fall outside anything that those VFDs should be able to handle. So we're looking into it. So hopefully by next meeting, we'll have some resolution, because the VFD issue kind of leads into, our water main flushing was set to begin in a couple weeks. I think we're going to probably push that off till we have reassurance that 7 and 8 are able to run all the time that we need it. We would prefer not to flush our system again using wells 1 and 5, just because there are manganese and iron wells that we don't really want to flush our system. So I think we may push off flushing down the road until we can get 7 and 8 up and running with confidence. So I think we're going to switch to some lift station cleaning, maybe some sewer jetting, and just juggle our schedules here. So I guess beyond that, it's kind of the usual. Customers added our pumpage data and wastewater flows and lift station hours.
Okay, anything else?
That's it for me.
Question for Josh? Good. Okay. Policy discussion and recommendation, item 10, acknowledge the middle of the 2024 municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4, annual report. Michael?
Yeah, as part of our village's requirements of being a municipal separate storm sewer system, we have to file this report with the DNR every year. Ensures that we're kind of keeping track of our activities related to stormwater education, as well as enforcement of the DNR required stormwater rules related to suspended solids, as well as phosphorus removal. So it's
You had what, 12 educational things you're doing?
could be
6.
Yeah, so we contract with the North Central Wisconsin Stormwater Coalition. So we meet generally about monthly as a group. And we have the North Central Regional Planning Commission generally will handle like upcoming this week. They'll have a booth at the Business Expo handing out educational items on stormwater treatment. They've done presentations with school groups. They will handle like FFA, and they've been to fairs, the farm technology days. So by participating in that group, we get a lot of ancillary credit for them going out in the public and working with various groups and kind of educating them on stormwater and why our stormwater resources are important. Generally in the springtime, we'll have our vac truck or our leaf truck, our street sweeper at the farmer's market. That counts, as people talk and, ask what it does, we go over why it's important that we sweep our streets, that we get that grit off of there, so it's not flowing into our rivers, lakes, streams. Similarly, I've had various Boy Scouts and other groups come in here and, go over stormwater management with them. When we talk to our residential groups, the Fuller Street, we're putting in the storm basin. So as we have that public information meeting, we talk about stormwater treatment, why we don't just put curb and gutter in all the time, and why ditches are used and the requirements there. So those activities all count towards kind of the public education. And I think it's been a couple of years now, but we've had Boy Scout groups come and want to spray paint around the inlet saying, dump no waste, drains to river. So the stormwater stenciling is another one that I know a lot of communities use for their education and outreach. But besides that, we keep track of how much salt we use, salt brine, our street sweepings collected, leaf pickup, inspections for construction site erosion control. Just a lot of those various items. A lot of the inspections for the construction site erosion are conducted by our building inspections department. So when they get called for a footing inspection, or maybe it's a final occupancy, they still will do an erosion control check around the premise until a yard is established. So all the houses out in Hinter Springs or Green Tree Acres, I think is what it's called, as well as any of the other commercial sites, they perform those inspections for us.
Great. Anything else? It was pretty comprehensive. I did like it.
Yeah, they ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
Michael, where do we sit on the phosphorus standard relative to the additional projects with that storm pond and the Fuller Street? Will that put us into compliance, or is there more to be done beyond that?
There's still more to be done, but we're, I think it's here somewhere. Water quality.
Yeah, I thought there was a question in there.
Oh, I didn't update that for 2024 because we didn't redo the modeling, but so that's one that I've struggled with a little bit, because we meet our suspended solids requirements, but we don't meet our phosphorus requirements. I can go and dig through that in
And then that was my follow-up question. And what else are we?
Yeah, so after we finish,
To do?
yeah, so the phosphorus one, so suspended solids is municipal wide. So if you remove a speck of suspended solids here, you get credit everywhere in the village for it. Whereas if we put a pond over here, that's treating the Eau Claire River basin, but we don't get credit then for like the Wisconsin River portion. So every drainage basin within the village has to meet that phosphorus removal. So like the Wistop pond, I mean, you have to show every 3 years, every 4 years that you're working towards it. And you think it's about a 10% closure of your gap. So our storm pond by Business 51 essentially buys us, I think it's 3 permit cycles, where if we did nothing else, that pond gets us that far ahead. But then there's another alternative of putting a pond kind of off of Eau Claire Ave on the east side here, and similar concept that would grasp a big drainage basin too. So a lot of the Camp Phillips, Schofield Ave area here from Highway 29 drains, and currently just outlets just a little north of us here into the Eau Claire River. So
I'm just trying to get a sense of the scope. Like that pond is maybe like $750,000 or something.
I think it's right now, I think it is 3 million.
And so if we're gonna do this again, we have to do something of a similar size.
I think it's maybe not quite as big, but that's probably more, maybe a $2 million pond.
It is a pretty expensive pond.
Yeah,
$2 million for just the pond. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of excavation, a lot of clay,
Yeah.
and it's really the majority of it, which
And then do we have land available for that, or do we need to pursue?
could be purchased and be working with adjacent landowners and. Yeah,
And have we started to budget for that then?
so as part of the reason for increasing the stormwater utility rate, I think that was 2 years ago now. So that, we, because as part of our, master plan, Strand did look at that and it kind of had steps, and as we entered, and eventually the decision at the board at that time was, well, instead of worrying about trying to step it, $5 every year, they went with the $20 increase so that I guess we'd build our reserves up a little quicker.
Okay, so you're comfortable we've got at least the.
I'd say for the next, once that pond's built, the next 5 to 10 years, there's not a urgency, I guess, but we definitely want to get started on the next one, especially if it includes land acquisitions and getting that set up.
Other question? I'll accept the motion to acknowledge this.
Move to acknowledge.
Never mind, I do have it right here. So our TSS is 50.4 and our phosphorus is 49. Total phosphorus though for the village needs to be, I think it's 67%, so we're close. Well, a lot better than a lot of other communities. My bad. The village-wide TSS requirement that the DNR had was 40%, so being at 50, we were doing pretty good for quite a while.
You could still make a motion to acknowledge.
Okay, I'll move it to acknowledge again.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We've had it in other meetings, so I can, unless you want to call the question, Joe is the other trustee. You can call the question and just take the vote and then read the next agenda item, Joe.
Okay, so.
First would be all in favor.
Further down. It's further down. Oh, here it is, okay. All right, I move to acknowledge the 2024 Village of Weston Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Report. So somebody make that motion, please?
Roy made the motion.
Okay,
Tom seconded the motion.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Then item number 11, please.
Yeah, I guess I quickly summarize it.
Just it's the East Jelinek Avenue change order number 3, just so it's read for.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so it's kind of, in short, there's a hydrant valve that was in the way, that, contractor didn't find until they found it. Which then meant they either had to relay all the storm sewer that they just put in or, kind of relocate the hydrant and, shift around, so they chose the second option of relocating the hydrant, just due to it being the quicker option. And I guess their ask is a time and materials basis of $5,645.53. Kind of as a check, we had some hydrant relocations for the Jelinek Ave project last summer as well. Haas's bid number for that project was $6,250 per hydrant, so I guess Melvin's ask on this one is less than what we had as a bid amount on another project. And had that valve been found during survey, I guess we would have also had an item then on this project for relocating a hydrant as well. So there was value added, I guess, to this one. So
I don't think we move, made a move.
We passed the last one and we
Okay.
moved on to the next.
What's your wishes for that change order? That's change order number 3, right?
Correct, yep.
Move to recommend approval of change order number 3 for East Jelinek and Von Canal to the construction contract to increase the amount by $5,645.53.
A second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? I have it. Thank you. Item 12, Weston Avenue, County Trunk X to Ryan. Change order number 2. I think you should explain this a little bit. That's based on removing that portion of it before. You're putting it back on the road.
Yeah, so the initial plans didn't have a kind of an access path for this cross-country route. And as we were discussing with the utility guys, and they questioned me, are we gonna be able to ever access this once it gets put in? Because we have a couple that don't have very good access around the utility system. I guess came to realize that was a kind of an oversight probably on my part by not making sure that we had some type of access path put in when the cross-country route went in. So I guess that portion for the salvaged base and so a lot of that was base course and some breaker run that was removed during last year's phase of the project. They would strip the topsoil and put that back in. That is $23,400 of this change order. Some of the other items of it, there's a structure on the project that is currently within the right of way or right on the right of way line. As part of the right of way negotiations with that property owner, we could either have paid them to remove the structure or we would bid it. They were not interested in having to hire somebody to remove the structure. So the price that Integrity gave us for that removal, essentially $166.29 per ton of material they remove. So the total cost there is just under $7,500. And then the other items are some additional sewer and water connections along the cross-country route. I think they were initially somewhat overlooked. There's one per lot or one per kind of vacant property, but those vacant properties aren't just one property. It's I think there's 4 vacant properties along there. So we want to make sure that each one of those had a service in the event that they do get divided up in the future.
So total is what, 49,000?
49,000, yeah,
$83.65.
correct.
What's your wishes?
I move to recommend and approve change order number 2 for the Weston Ave Highway X to Ryan Street cross-country utility construction project.
For a second,
I'll second.
did you get a total amount of it? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? I have it. Thank you. Item 13, Fordham Street Reconstruction Bed Award.
So we opened bids last week, Wednesday, on the Fuller Street project. We had 7 total bidders on it. Francis Melvin was the low bidder at $3,665,318.81. So I guess the CIP estimate there was 3.64 million. So we're $25,000 off. And going through it today, the general fund portion of the project was, I opened the wrong thing. My computer froze. There we go.
Just
Sorry.
Catch up.
I have too many things open.
You don't think. It's kind of our running joke that he has every tab open on.
I have a blank screen right now. Oh, okay. Great. I got kicked out of the meeting. No, here we go. Yeah. Anyway. Long story short, the sanitary sewer portion came in under general fund, I think was about $300,000 under. Water was, I think water and storm are both about $200,000 above. That equals out, so water main and storm sewer came in slightly higher than estimate, and the general fund was about $300,000 less, and sanitary sewer is about I think that was $80,000 less.
So that, the two better were very close.
Yeah.
After that, they just took off, we got to 4 million.
Correct, yeah, so yeah, Haas was the second low bid, and it went from there. There we go, I'm working again.
See, Pecker Hobby sent them a letter, let them know they were the lowest bidder on the project, and he told them what they need, all the insurance and bonding and everything else. Now, I didn't see in there to say we want the village to be on the insurance certificate.
That's part of the contract docs that that we get named. So this letter is actually to us, it's not to Melvin, so.
Right.
Yeah.
That's usually they forget them,
Sure.
and so just you gotta keep your eyes open, make sure it is there.
Yep, yeah, no, actually our workers' comp carrier now requires us to turn in all certificates of insurance for people that do work on behalf of the village.
That's
So
awesome.
I'd say within the last 2 years, we've gotten a lot more diligent on making sure we have the certificates of insurance.
Good, that's good.
Yeah.
What's your wishes?
I'll make a motion to recommend awarding the Fuller Street reconstruction contract to Francis Melvin Incorporated for a total project bid amount of $3,665,318.81.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 14, 2025 crack sealing bid award.
So again, we opened our street maintenance bids on Tuesday, the 8th of April. Precision Seal Coating was the apparent low bidder for our crack sealing at a total of $80,000. We had $100,000 in the kind of allocated within our street maintenance budget, so it's within budget. Precision has done the crack sealing in the village previously. I guess don't have any concerns or issues with them.
Okay. What's your wishes?
Move to recommend award the 25 crack sealing project to Precision Seal Coating for a price of $80,000.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Michael, that's a notice of the award, they say, right?
Yeah, I saw that later in the packet. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, item 15, 2025 Gelonite Ceiling Bed Award. What is this Gelonite? It come from Utah or what?
Yeah,
That's the only place produce it.
correct. Yep. Yeah, so and each vendor kind of has their own proprietary version of it. Some have the GSB version or the I guess product GSB 88. Others have more of a gilsonite sealant. So in general, we just bid the gilsonite sealer so that we're not bidding just one product of it. So, but yeah, it is a, what would you consider that? An oil, found in kind of the mountains of Utah. So,
Okay,
but
what's your wishes?
Are all the products pretty much like kind then?
yeah, so there's certain ASTM standards that they have to meet.
It's similar to other product.
Yes.
They all,
Yeah, like last year, we, Scott Construction, had, you know, is their version of the Gilsonite sealer. This year, Farner was the low bidder. They have the GSB 88. And
I was just gonna say, you don't notice any difference in performance, you don't? No, okay.
no,
okay,
All right, well, I'll move to approve the 2025 Gills Night pavement sealing project at Farner for a total bid price of $112,869.56.
Second.
discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 16. 2025 asphalt overlay bid award.
so these were also opened on the 8th. American Asphalt and RC Pavers submitted bids. American was the low bidder by about what, 13,000. So again, pretty close between the two numbers there. And it's within about 3,500 of the estimate used for the street maintenance kind of.
I don't know how you're gonna compete with American asphalt here.
Well, last year RC was the low bidder for the overlays, so. I think twice now RC was lower over the last few years, so. They at least keep things competitive in the area.
All right. Accept the motion.
I move to recommend award the 2025 asphalt overlay project to American Asphalt based on their base bid of $348,638.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Item 17, Shore Avenue, County Trunk X to Heron Street. Paving bed award. Michael, what about the rest of it? There is a couple of bad spot after you're going further east.
Yeah, so last year we did get a local road improvement grant. It's in a kind of a smaller amount of only 26,000. But that was for the section from Shorey or from X to Huron. We did add an alternate bid item to go from Huron to Anastasia, which is factored into that 265,785 number. The rest of the way between Anastasia and Zinzer likely needs some more than just a pulverize and repave. That needs some base correction and some other additional work before I guess I'd feel comfortable spending the money putting a big asphalt investment on it. So we'll be,
Is it about a mile and a half
yeah,
from Heron to Ryan?
Huron to Ryan would be a mile, and then it's another mile to go from Ryan to Zinzer.
Okay.
So
So that is in the program for,
yeah, so I mean, we'll look to patch it maybe, I'm gonna say it was almost 8-9 years ago, we did put some kind of thin overlays on a lot of those bad spots that were through there, which
yeah.
I don't know, some of them are still together.
Yeah.
Which they lasted a lot longer than I thought they were going to last out there. So we'd probably want to go through and, you know, kind of do the same thing, dig out some of the bad spots, and we can make sure we at least keep it passable. Especially this year with Weston Ave, that section of Weston Ave between Huron and Ryan being closed. Anybody who does want to try to go around the back way will be using Shorey, so I guess probably need to put up some caution, bad road signs. Probably should do that this week. So we'll at least, and talking with American, they are the paver on the Weston Ave project, so we coordinate that with this paving of Shorey so that Weston Ave at least would be open to Huron Street before they would work on this portion of Shorey's.
Okay. I'll accept the motion on this.
I'll move to recommend award the 2025 Shorey Avenue repaving project to American Asphalt for a total bid of $265,785.50.
In a second,
I'll second.
discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 18, spring surplus auction item.
I'll make a motion to approve.
No discussion on that, huh? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a
If
second?
anyone wants, sorry, if anyone wants to
Yeah,
discuss.
that's okay. Although, and there it said all the item over $50, there was a couple item for $50, they were there. Is that okay, or? All right. No question. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Who seconded?
Opposed?
You did
I
a
s-
second.
I seconded.
You did? Okay, Weston.
Okay, I have it. Item 19, purchase of hydraulic hammer.
Yeah, so as we looked at our capital plan, our equipment needs, I guess, for this year. We had 400,000 allocated for public works equipment. Our one purchase to date was the grader that had a net cost of 237,000. So staff was looking at the next items, and Josh somewhat alluded to it. We had a couple water main breaks or lateral leaks this past year, and trying to jackhammer through the frozen surface was not an easy task. We have a smaller hammer on our mini excavator, and that thing was smoking, and quite frankly, was too small for the job. As we tried looking at renting a hammer, the Fabic dealer here, the attachment they had was not compatible with either one of our larger excavators, and they didn't have an excavator equipped on site to handle that hammer. So I guess figure in those cases of emergencies where we do have to get through frost and make those repairs, it would be beneficial to have a hammer on hand that we would be able to utilize. And besides main breaks and getting through frost, we can also use it for kind of breaking up concrete chunks. We get a lot of curb and gutter and slabs out at Ryan Street, which again, our mini can do, but really isn't sized for it. So it adds more wear and tear on that piece of equipment, and it'd make it, I guess, a better task for a larger piece of machinery to handle that type of work. We did reach out to 3 of the heavy equipment vendors. Swiderski's quote was $31,950, which was about half of the CAT quote. I guess Brian Schmidt, our fleet foreman, looked through everything. The reviews on the one from Swiderski, everything checked out, where not sure why it's as cheap. I know the Bobcat equipment historically does have better source well pricing, kind of for government fleets, so that might be part of it, but I guess I know he checked with some references and everything checked out with that one, that it would be sufficient and wasn't just a cheaper version of the CAT one, so.
That's my comment or question. I said,
Yeah.
in my world, like when I look at, it's like, I would immediately tell anybody in our company, oh, watch out, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get 50 cents for, $1 for 50 cents. Like what? I just read this and I was like, I sat there and kept going, I'm so skeptical. Like, really? How? Either they didn't, Did they just rat quote us out of the other one or?
Yeah, so we're, I guess Sourcewell purchasing agreements are, I guess, so a lot of the heavy equipment manufacturers, they have a price out there that's set for, a government agency, and that is their price. So whether you're the Village of Weston, City of Wausau, City of Minneapolis, like that is their cost for that piece of equipment. So generally speaking, like I know Swiderski has been, or Bobcat, which Swiderski is the dealer for. They've generally had better cooperative purchasing prices. So I don't know if they have something within their company where, they want to get their equipment out there into the government's hands because it's out there working and people see it. So they're like, oh, hey, or, maybe they don't care as much about that profit on that piece of equipment. I don't have a good answer for you, but I do know Brian did check around because he was also, I guess, concerned, a little caught off guard, thinking that there might be something wrong here. So
How much do both pieces of equipment weigh?
Looks like it's showing here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the bottom of that. Oh,
So was that
I thought it did.
working weight? About a ton,
Yeah,
2,667.
Are they both about that same weight?
I would believe so. Yeah.
I don't think that's the weight of that hammer. It's probably pressure applied to it.
they had operating pressure there though, on
You do?
1,885 PSI for operating pressure.
1885.
It's the second one from the top.
Carrier weight.
But I mean, I guess there's all kinds of ways you can look at, I mean, he really is comfortable though that he's getting what he needs.
Yeah.
Okay, because I just. I came here like going,
I'm with you, Roy. I'm having a hard time.
yeah.
But I see that you guys have looked at the hydraulic flow rates and all that sort of stuff, and there's. Whenever you add on a piece of equipment, it's important that the equipment can operate it, so I expected to find something different too, and it's like, can't see it.
We want to pause, we can pause and come back, but
No, I've got only my previous experience like Roy, if it's half price, it's gotta be.
Something's wrong. Yeah, I couldn't get past this one, to be honest with you, Michael. I just
Sure.
sat back and I said, like, what is, like, really, like, what? Either somebody's pricing us at a ridiculous level, or we're not getting something comparable. I mean, it could be either answer, but it's gotta be one or the other, right? Either we're not getting something comparable, or somebody priced it just one of the quotes was just way off, or, I don't know, but it just scares me to say, yeah, go ahead and approve that, and like, because I said I got a common sense basis. This is not passing my smell test.
Yeah, and I'm certainly in favor of you guys doing it for all the reasons you state. It'd been nice if the forestry guys had
10 years out of this one and.
quoted it,
yeah.
Or can we get a quote on a similar system from another besides Swidler, or is that? And maybe I'm just overthinking, I don't know what everybody else in the committee.
Yeah,
thinks.
usually the brand, the dealer has a territory and it doesn't overlap. So like if you're in central Wisconsin and you
Well, I
want,
know, but could you
Yeah.
call up a different
Sure.
area and say, hey, ballpark, what are these,
yeah,
and do they perform at this? I don't know, I guess we hire those people for a reason, right? I just hope that he's really has knocked out that due diligence.
yeah. No, I feel like, yeah. Brian, like I said, he had his reservations initially when he saw it, and he's like, I went through the specs, I checked everything out. Like there was no glaring difference that said we're getting
The longevity is also comparable in terms of.
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff, it's how well do you maintain it and how do you abuse it when you
They
use
take a
it?
beating, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Well, it's meant to take a beating, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it does, right? And,
Yeah.
How much
Well,
warranties on it?
I think they all come with a
the 1 year.
1 year warranty. And
If it lasts half as long, you get another one, right?
it's true.
Well, I guess, Roy, I'm gonna have to defer to staff's recommendation based on, I really trust them.
yeah, that's where I'm at also. I guess they had said, I just wanted to really question is, are we really comfortable? Because the numbers don't add up.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move to approve the purchase of a hydraulic hammer from Swiderski Equipment for $31,850.
Is there a second? Taken second,
Yes.
discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Item 20, review of quarter snow and ice control practices in the village.
Go for it.
There was a request from trustee Pinsnelt for this item to be added to the agenda. I do have the email request also included in the packet, along with our current snow and ice control policy. I don't know if it's okay, Mr. Chair, if we just wanted to have trustee Pinsnelt discuss why he wanted to have the conversation tonight.
Yes, please.
Very well. Jim Penstone, 502 Earl Street.
You can come to podium.
Okay. I did just Google that part number, it showed $45,000, and now one shipped your door, so 39, maybe that's real, or 33, whatever it was. The R11.
Yeah.
So the last 3-ish snow events, all of them, I believe, occurred on a weekend. And none of them were forecasted anywhere close to where they should have been, right? They said it would be 3 inches and we showed up with 8 or 13 or something, right? So it's an impossible task, no matter how you do it. I talked to Michael on this a while ago. Probably in February, maybe. I sent you that email. And I think it would just what came from that was, hey, can we just revisit the snow and ice control policy? And is there anything that needs to be updated or changed? And at a bare minimum, I think there are streets that exist now that didn't exist in 2013 or whenever this was drafted that have to get added. So at a bare minimum, that would get added in here. But some of the stuff on here where it shows like, we have like A, B, and C or 1, 2, and 3 level events.
Yep.
I don't know that we necessarily over the last 3 snow events have responded as such. I mean, we have, and just my own observations and other residents who have contacted me concerned with it. I get it if it's snowing like crazy, like we have, I don't know, however many snow removal pieces of equipment, right? And however many people to drive them and 300 lane miles or whatever that number is, you can't plow every lane mile every minute of every day. But if it's an event where do we have to do it twice? Do we have to go tonight and then clean it up tomorrow? Or what does that look like? And I don't know, maybe we are following that policy that we currently have adopted. What does it say, like what's the top tier one or the lower tier one? Is it A and C? Is it 1 and 3?
Yeah, so priority A streets kind of our what we consider our thoroughfares, our salt routes, so those are the ones. How come my screen is not? My screen isn't what you see. Well, that's not good. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I guess our overtime or kind of the weekend, our priority A streets, our thoroughfares, you know, the goal is to keep those passable at all times. The priority B streets are kind of the first offshoots of those. which, again, we try to keep open. And we kind of have that goal of, keeping it accessible within 12 hours after a storm. And then the C streets, which is kind of our dead ends, we do plow those on overtime if it's a bad storm where it's impassable, but we try to keep those main roads going first. If somebody's gonna get stuck in the road, would rather they be stuck in the road outside their driveway than stuck in the middle of Schofield Ave and having, a bigger accident there. So I know we had some wet, heavy snowfalls and, kind of started snowing, I think, later on Sundays. We have one crew, unlike the county, where they can, they rotate guys through so they can keep trucks moving throughout the night. So we try not to have people work more than 14-ish hours at a time. So on those days, I think they came in kind of late morning and kind of cut it off by about 6, 7 o'clock at night, let it fall, and then they were back in by, I think, between 3 and 4 a.m. So, they could get some sleep before coming in the next day. So I get that the public wants their road plowed like every street is Schofield Ave, but it's hard. And we do have those wet, packy snows, especially in March, where snowballs will form off the end of the plows, and eventually though you'd end up chasing it all over the village. So we'd have to get every street taken care of. And then if you're in the middle of a snow event, at first 3-4 inches you plow out, but then the next 3 to 4 inches keeps falling. And I guess if there's other ways to do it, I guess I'm certainly up to changing things. I think staff did follow kind of what we have written out. Our equipment should be updated a little bit. I mean, we still have the 6 trucks with plows, wings. We have the 2 end loaders with wings and plows. We have 2 graders now. So some of that stuff is still relevant, but yeah, getting some of those streets updated. And I guess if there are other items we need to address, I guess sometimes it gets hard I'd say in the dead of winter when it's kind of dry, it's cold. Snow's fluffier, so it's a lot quicker, it's a lot easier to move around. And there's nobody that hates March snowfalls more than me and our staff. We ruin a lot of asphalt in March. We hit water valves because the ground has started thawing out and they're sticking up. We ruin plows, equipment gets beat and streets get beat. So we try not to plow if we don't have to as well. There's some streets where we knew it was gonna get warmer the next day, and we kind of I think we even told the guys, keep the plow up, because otherwise the whole road would have been half gravel by the time we were done. So, but yeah.
So Jim, your statement, our current policy is not being followed. To wit?
Yeah, so we say the priority A streets, we try to keep 2 lanes of traffic open within 4 hours of response start and thereafter. So that'd be our Schofield Ave, our Alderson streets, Ross Avenue, the main thoroughfares.
So to your point,
Yep.
Joe, this would have been 3 snow events ago. It was on a Saturday. That was like, we had a pile of snow. We had, I don't know, 10 inches or something. The Schofield Ave would not have been passable without a 4-wheel truck. But at the same time, as I was headed eastbound, when I came back westbound, I saw your echelon or whatever you run with 3 trucks, looked great. But then there was a guy clearing sidewalks. Like, why are we clearing the sidewalk if I can't drive down Schofield Ave? And I get it, maybe you had 10 guys on and only 9 plows. Well, don't have the 11th, the 10th guy just sit here, right? Like, put him in a something. But
Yeah, and I mean, that person doesn't have a CDL currently, who likely was in the machine that day. And I have had complaints then too that we don't have the sidewalks open. People do walk in the community. I've encountered people on their power scooters in the middle of Schofield Ave, almost getting taken out by cars sliding through intersections. So, you know, we've had, granted that one was a Saturday, we have kids that walk to school, they are walking to bus stops. They've been walking in Camp Phillips in the past because the sidewalks weren't clear. So we do try to be conscious of those sidewalk areas too that we clear so that people can maneuver if they don't have a vehicle and they have to rely on the sidewalks and walking.
So I guess you say that you believe that you followed or that Public Works followed our policy as it is, give or take. Do you think that there's some room for improvement or any updates that we should be making to that current plan? I mean, aside from maybe addition of some street names and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the hardest part is the timing of certain storm events and having people available without overworking.
Yeah, it really comes down to it. I mean, it's always been that. How many guys do you have? How much equipment do you have? If you want it better, let's buy more equipment. I'm not for that. Hiring more people, you know, I mean, I'm not for that either. So I'll accept the fact that there's some days that it sucks that I can't get to where I wanna go, cause I don't have a 4-wheel drive truck. And when I take my 2-wheel drive Dodge and the snow is more than 3 or 4 inches, I'm really at risk, you know, I mean, it's like, so I just don't do it. And, so I, you know, in this most recent event, I can understand why people were unhappy, you know, but, it is the time of the season, and wet, slushy snow like that is a challenge no matter what. And again, I appreciate the fact that, you put all your guys to work, and the guys that can't drive the bigger equipment are gonna be driving something, and I get that people are gonna say, well, why the hell are you doing that? Well, it's because of the assets that I have, you know, I'm making use of. And again, the camaraderie of getting all those guys working together, being willing to work on what's typically their day off, so.
Yeah, and it's not just our street staff, it's our utility operators, it's park staff. I mean, it's not just the 10 people on the street crew that are responding. Almost just about anybody who has a CDL in the village, it was responding. It does respond, so.
Yeah, and Ross said, watch the supply, because of the need for us to move trucks around and get people into the parking spots. We pay a small fortune to Bobbles to maintain that for us, because, it does become a safety issue, you know, but, it's, you know, so if you aren't willing to pay up to get that service, no matter what, you know, somebody's gonna come no matter what, you know, and it's like, when they come for 2 or 3 inches of snow, sometimes I'm thinking, well, God, I wish you guys really wouldn't have come today, you know, cause we're gonna pay for all those hours, no matter what, you know, and so how much is enough, you know, I mean, it's a tough thing to manage, and you know, I have to say, I appreciate the way that you guys have maintained it compared to what I've experienced in other places.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess, did your office or Forrest or anybody, I guess, get feedback during those snow events from citizens about certain concerns that they had that I guess needed to be reviewed or anything like that?
Yeah, I'd say we always get some feedback from citizens, and some of it is good too. You know, people said, hey, you guys, that was a heck of a storm, you know. I wasn't expecting to see a plow at 9 AM come past my house, but it was there, so thank you. And then there's other people that said, you know, I was late to work this morning because my street wasn't plowed yet, or, you know, I got stuck in the ditch last night because my street wasn't plowed, so. You know, it is interesting. some of that, I tell a story, when I first started working here, the first winter, I had a guy call and yell at me about how we were wasting his tax dollars and there's no need that we need to be out there scraping the streets that time. And I was ready to call up the street supervisor at the time, be like, hey, I think we need to pull off. And my phone rang and it was his next door neighbor saying, thank you, I really appreciate it. That we had a bad icy spot. So I was like, okay, I guess that's what working for the government is like. You have people saying you're wasting my tax dollars and then the next person saying, thank you, I really appreciate it. So yeah, I guess hindsight's always 20/20. There's part of you that's always like, well, could we have gone out maybe a little later and then gotten more of the village cleaned up on the first pass? You know, there's been times where we've had snow events where our snow boss went out and checked it. I was like, it's a little slippery. I'll just run the routes myself. And then 6 hours later, he's still out there by himself because it turned quickly. And then we're late. Or sometimes we call all the trucks in and the snow all of a sudden hits Ramon and it stops. And so I guess that's the hard part is, as I tell the guys who are on call, you know, they're making that call. We're going in and we're doing it. I'm not gonna second guess them. I'm not gonna tell them, you know, we'll do an after action, you know, what went right, what went wrong, but you know, we try to learn from that. Say over the years, the amount of complaints we've gotten on our snow plowing has gone down. Our weather's also gotten a lot better. We've had a lot less of the heavy wet marches that generally is when we get the most calls, and it's because the snowballs form off the end of the plow. It's wet packy snow and nobody wants to shovel wet packy snow off the end of their driveway. It does block intersections. It can make it a little harder, especially if it freezes and it's hard and you can't drive through it.
I don't know, can I weigh in on this?
Sure, go for it.
I mean, is the question here, so the clearance goals, 2 lanes of traffic open within 4 hours. So what is open? Is that what we're describing? A 4-wheel drive truck, the 2-wheel drive front wheel? I mean, so we need 2 lanes of traffic open within 4 hours. So what is open? No snow, 1 inch, 2 inch? You can drive it with a 4-wheel drive truck. So I mean, I think it's, somebody could see that and be like, well, they had 2 lanes open, but there was 2 inches of snow. My 2-wheel drive can't drive that. So maybe that's where, do we need some additional clarifications on that?
So I think that we.
Or what's a severe weather conditions where we can suspend stuff like 10 inches of heavy wet snow? Is that severe that we, you know, maybe there's some more leniency in how long it takes to get this stretch done, that stretch done, 2 lanes open with ice conditions. So maybe that whole clearance goals thing maybe needs a little more defining.
I would agree with that. I think some definition or some like improvement on how the plan is written. I don't think that the way that we do it is necessarily wrong. Just like you said, Michael, hey, we can call all the guys in and the snow stops at Rim Mountain, or you can call 2 guys in and it goes around Rim Mountain or whichever. Like, no matter how you do it is likely wrong, and that's okay. But I think overall, I lived here for 17 years. I think overall, our streets department does a very good job with this. I just thought this would be a good opportunity to look at it and point out some of those things. Does cleared, yes, does that mean, hey, you can drive your front wheel drive car through there? Or do you need a 4-wheel drive truck? Or like, hey, it will be less than 3 inches of snow on the road, what is it gonna mean?
Sure.
And then, yeah, you have some of those snow events that last, it continues to snow for 16 hours. Well, how do you combat that, right? If you can, there are human beings operating these pieces of heavy equipment, right? You can't run them for 40 hours without wrecking people and wrecking equipment. And probably breaking some, laws too, but.
For me, we have a written policy that's being managed by the best guys that we have for the job. And I just don't think it makes any sense to add any more text or words to their job description. I'm good with just letting them do what they do best. You know, I mean, it's, how do you quantify that? I mean, how do you?
My comments are, you can write any policy you want, and sooner or later, Mother Nature will throw something at you that you won't hit it. It's just where do you want to be? I mean, and you can word the policy better, but I agree with Joe. I mean, I think I've lived here 26 winters. I I think they do a pretty darn good job. I don't have any complaints, and I live here understanding that there will be days when I will get up and my road will not be plowed yet, or will be plowed in a single line because they're all opening the major thoroughfares, and I have no problem. It's common sense to me. It's like we have X pieces of equipment, Y employees. And there's going to be an event, we're gonna get overwhelmed. And we can wordsmith the policy, but I don't know that it will change the performance of what
I
actually
think
happens.
that's it. We can always put in there,
And,
if possible.
yeah, and my
24 hours if
my
possible.
succinct question is this. Do you have complaints on snow clearing from the chief of police or the fire chief or anybody on the SAFER committee? Because if you got those complaints, I'm all ears, let's do something. Because that's my primary concern. Can we get emergency services to people? That's priority one. In any event.
I agree with that, and I go to work at 4 AM, so I often go on the roads before they've been plowed, and I don't have issues, although I have an all-wheel drive car, but it's not certainly a 4-wheel drive car. I guess just to kind of summarize this, our agenda item is review of the practices, which I think we've done. There's no action to be taken here, so I would just say, if staff feels that it can be updated, they can certainly bring that back to us and we can review that further. But I don't know that we're gonna be making recommendations here unless anybody feels different.
And I think Michael brings up an interesting thing, which I think the public doesn't have first off, there's limitations on equipment. I think a lot of people understand that, but the secondary thing is that you have to balance clearing your roads versus destroying your public streets and the additional tax bill that they're gonna complain about when they get that. Right?
How about, Michael, everything is done, just get the input, the drivers who do the job. And see what is their challenges on the road. Want some area is better than the other area, or get the input from them, because those are the guys doing the job. Yeah. And that's.
I think Shane is an excellent point. Yeah, I absolutely concur with that. Nobody knows better than the guys that are sitting behind those plow trucks. Or the person that's supervising. I mean, you want feedback on how to do the job better? They'll tell you, right?
There we go. So bring it back next week, and we can discuss that then. We got a couple more items and we're running out of time here. Let's see, okay, is that okay? We can move on?
Yep, what?
Is that okay? I know that's my meeting, but we want to make sure you got your answer.
Thank you.
Item 21. Discussion and action on the current practice of modification to the village-owned buildings.
Similar to the last agenda item, this was by trustee Pincinel. It does note, there's a screenshot within the packet, it does note about the review of buildings that are under the purview of the village within the Public Works Committee. And the public safety is one of those buildings that we do own that building. That's safer and was Everest Metro are in over on Mesker Street. So I did include a memo from Chief Finke about their expansion in that building. I don't know that's the total circumference of this agenda item, but that was one that had come up, was there additional use of that building, which their board has approved. They're not making any remodeling updates with the expansion of the internship into the public safety building. They're just utilizing the space, but they're not changing walls or remodeling at all. They're just gonna be utilizing the offices and what was the reception area and the break room for the internship program, so. They'll be staying in their rooms will be what were the sergeant and chief's office. Their kitchen, when they're not on duty, will be the break room. And they'll utilize the locker rooms that were remodeled through that project of bringing up the public safety building. But when they're on shift, when they're working a safer shift, then they go upstairs with safer, or they go to fire station 1 and they stay with the.
I have I don't know if this is now the time, okay. I read this item, I read it in detail, I read it again in detail, and this is my opinion and only my opinion. I don't think this is an applicable request for consideration for the Public Works Committee. And my reasoning is that in reading it verbatim, it says review and recommend any proposed changes, improvements, remodeling, additions to the municipal building, other village buildings, or other property. And I said to myself, and I'm gonna use this example, if I own an apartment building with 24 tenants, during the year, tenants are going to move in and move out, and or you might reconfigure the space somewhat for those tenants, but that doesn't make any change to the actual building itself, right? And so to me, this was a situation where you had one tenant that was going to take more space, another tenant take less space. As Jamie referenced, there are no changes to the building. And therefore, I don't see anything for us to even acknowledge or approve here. I don't think there was any criteria that meets the definition. That's my reading. So my opinion is I would just move on. I don't think this applies.
I'm of the same opinion. I don't want us to get to the point where we're trying to get way down. You know, if staff in this building want to move cubicles around in the building or things like that, I don't want us to have to review that. Now, obviously, if we're knocking walls down, we're cutting holes and things, then I think that's probably something we need to review. Completely aside from what Safer's request is, just as far as what we're not, I think when it comes to the physical structure, that's good for us too, but what happens within the walls isn't necessarily important for us to review. I think staff is capable of.
And even if there were some minor changes, I would strike that and say, even then, I don't know that it's necessary to come to the Public Works Committee to, significant changes. Okay, yes, but
It is, I agree with you, because we don't know the condition of the building. And we never been in there, or we've been there maybe 2 years ago. Things change over the time. So for me, saying model that, or rebuild that, or change that, or do that, I think, I won't be able to qualify to do that. You need somebody who know the building, who understand that the movement of the people inside the building. But that's gonna dictate what to make change, how the people work with each other. And we don't know that. Should be somebody who's knowledgeable with that kind of activity, like a recommendation.
Comment.
Yes,
So my intent was to strike that, or recommend to the board of trustees to strike that, because this says review and recommend any proposed changes, improvements, remodeling, additions, et cetera, to the municipal building, other buildings, other property. So we made the driveway bigger out here. I think it was a fantastic idea. It needed to be done. It was designed poorly from the front side, but that didn't have to come here. This says it has to come here. That's unnecessary. It doesn't have to come. But the way that this is written, the way our municipal ordinance and charter is written, it has to come here. We're not following our own policy.
then maybe we add the word significant, would be my.
I agree with you. If we're repainting safer, it doesn't have to come here. It's silly, but we're not following what we have adopted. So it should be changed.
Are you done, Jim?
I
I don't wanna debate Jim here, giving public comment. I disagree. I think it's semantics. I think it's language. It's the way we interpret the language. We can't define every single thing in our ordinances and policies. I understand the concern, but I think we're talking about the building. We're not talking about, because I just don't see it that way myself, but if we need to make a change to the ordinance or strike that, that's fine by me. I think
if the ordinance is gonna be changed, that should come from planning department, make a recommendation, and then go through the process.
So this is the village ordinance for the Public Works Committee, so it wouldn't necessarily have to go through Plan Commission or anybody like that. I guess I don't mind the idea of adding the word significant, just so it is there. I guess we can all debate what is a significant improvement or change, but I think, the adding walls at, I don't know if there's a dollar amount, at some point we wanted to add to it, but I think we all agree that, I think generally you can agree on what a significant change is, or what is considered a minor change.
We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
Okay. We will make a decision,
We could bring back that change,
please.
yes, and track changes next month, so it could just be adopted, yep.
That's fine. I got one more item in there, Jim. Would you like to explain the last paragraph on your letter?
Sure, pull it up. All I can see is what's on here.
Yeah.
We made some comments there and there else.
Says the good news is that in 25 hours, this should all be behind us. Good luck tomorrow.
I don't care about that. What I
Okay,
want
you
you
want one before
to
that?
explain what you're talking
I
about
asked the
here.
Public Works Chair to add them, and I was ignored on 324 and 322 respectively. I didn't put 2025, that would be this year though. So I will formally request it to come to the Board of Trustees. Quite sad that the Chair of the Public Works Committee cannot even acknowledge that he received the request, but denied it. I am not at all surprised by this action though. It is a carbon copy of the treatment I have gotten from another trustee currently running your social media smear campaign. For context, this was written to the President, Mark Malone.
You know, I got your email.
How do I know I got your email? Because it didn't bounce back to me and I sent it to you.
No,
Oh, yes, I did. Send it to
I
you.
didn't get it.
Okay, so
It's not okay. How come you didn't call?
why would I call you?
Because I didn't get your email and you didn't hear from me. Maybe you should have a courtesy to call me.
Mr. Chair, I'd
Yes.
like to make a point of order. I don't think this is related to the agendized item.
Well,
This is
it
something-
is in here and it's part of this letter.
I
I'm sorry.
recognize that as part of the letter.
Okay.
I think that's his public
That's
comment
fine.
to give. I don't think
You're
it's
right.
pertinent to the agendized item.
Item 22, village-wide WPS street lighting update.
I did not have a chance to revisit that item from the March meeting.
If you bring it back, please.
Yeah, I'll keep it on there.
Thank you.
I guess that's the same, at least for the next one too, at 23, I mentioned in the report, we didn't have an update yet from Van Ert or Village of Rothschild on that one. I don't know if Jamie has an update on 24.
Just that the discussion was communicated to the Village of Rothschild and they will do the first draft of that agreement and bring it back once it's ready.
All right. Get back next meeting. Item 23, Weston Avenue, Alderson Street to Birch Street, multi-use path lighting. You're gonna bring it back?
Yep.
Okay. Item 24, consolidation of Ryan Street, yard material site with the Village of Rothschild.
Same, we'll bring that one back next meeting.
We'll keep it on the agenda just to note, so we don't forget about it, but
All three items should be future item then.
correct, yep.
Next meeting date, Wednesday, April 16, 2025, 6 P M. Schofield Avenue Special Assessment.
Yep.
Hearing and also public informational meeting.
And we do need a quorum there.
Correct,
So
yeah,
there's just confirming we have a quorum for
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay.
Okay. Item B to be determined. Item C, Monday, May 12, 2025 at 4:30 P M, regular meeting. Item D, Monday, June 9th, 2025, 4:30 P M, regular meeting. Topic for future, item 22, 23, and 24. Okay. 26, remark from staff. Michael,
We're all good.
anybody? No.
Is that for us also?
That's the next one. Remark from committee member. Tom, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I would like to, make some remarks and then possibly put an agenda item for next month for the Public Works Committee. In reading this, in reading that email that Jim sent, in the highlighted paragraph, which I read 3 or 4 times, I was not pleased, with the wording or the manner in which it was conveyed. I was also quite upset to hear that sitting on a committee, which I expect to do the committee's business, that to hear that we have a scenario where a board of trustee member is questioning the head of the committee as to ignoring him. I certainly will not do that on this committee. And I don't know what did or did not occur, but I was very displeased to see that in the public record. Along with this reference to a social media smear campaign. So over the weekend, I went to the Weston Employee Personnel Policies and Procedures Handbook, Volume 14, final dated 1/20/25. Section 10.05, Conduct Guidelines. We expect our employees to follow rules of conduct that will protect the interests and safety of all employees and the village and present a professional image to all customers and guests. Item 1, discourteous conduct is something listed under there that's an infraction of the rules of conduct. Item 8, insubordination or other disrespectful conduct. Item 9, deliberate statements or actions detrimental to the village. Item 20, using abusive or offensive language with customers or co-workers. Section 10.07, ethics policy. The village is committed to conducting its business affairs in accordance with the laws and the highest ethical standards at all times. The reputation we enjoy is determined by the examples set by management and the character and good judgment of each employee and village representative. All employees and village representatives are expected to conduct themselves in the highest ethical manner. Item 1, employee and village representatives are to treat each other with respect. And it says at the end of this, we encourage you to promptly report the situation to your department director or the administrator. I'm reporting it to you. I don't feel this was respectful. I don't think it was done in the proper manner. And I'm frankly embarrassed. That concludes my comments.
Thank you.
My comments are somewhat similar. I was actually sitting in my car for several minutes before the meeting and I was reading that very document and I was also reading the core values of the Village of Weston and I was concerned about, I think anybody in this community's got the freedom of speech and can come here and provide public comment and they can certainly speak how they want, but they also have to maintain certain decorum when representing the Village of Weston. And I would hope that for the future. Aside from that, not to repeat all of that, but moving forward, we've seen this numerous times of this committee where we get public comment and it somewhat turns into a debate with the person that's providing the comment. I would like moving forward that when people show up for public comment, they come up for the public comment period, they provide their comment, and then we can't act on that comment. We just take that information and move on. When we get in these situations where people are providing specific comment and then we're kind of going back and forth, I think one, it puts that person on the defensive where they're trying to provide comment and we may not agree, but it also can belabor the process. So I would just request moving forward that anybody providing public comment does it during the public comment period and then we move on outside of consultants and specialists or whatever. That's all.
Okay, good.
I'd like to thank you all working with me for the past 2 years and it was a pleasure working with you. Tonight is my last meeting. So I'm sure you're doing a great job. Honestly, you've been straightforward and express your opinion. If you like the project, you don't like the project, express why you don't. And you've been all correct with everything. You made a comment on any project. I couldn't say enough. So with all that, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Item 29, no announcement. Accept the motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you.